Hello, everyone. My name is Tina from Quantum Healing with Tina and Karen. I'm a Beyond Quantum Healing practitioner, spirit releasement therapist, and intuitive empath. And today I just wanted to come on and show you my shirt, Legalize Freedom, and to talk about some of the energies I've been observing recently. There's been a spikes in the Schumann resonance and solar flares coming in from the sun. And as we know, the sun is bringing in these ascension energies, and they can really shake things up at times. So I've been noticing a lot of, and as these energies are coming in, like what we saw in my session, I don't know if you've seen that video, but it was the Matrix Pods and 70 Bluebird video. But in that session, what I saw was that these waves of energy are coming through into Earth, right? We're not having one big single event that's just going to transform everything and like topple it upside down, but that it's these smaller waves of energy coming in from the sun that is, it comes in, and it's transforming consciousness. And how it's doing that is it's helping us to purge the denser consciousness from our realm, from the earth. So from within us and surrounding us, the whole collective is receiving these energies. And what I've been noticing is it's causing a lot of different thoughts, ideas, behaviors within humans, especially within humans who are not fully aware of themselves. And so this, in combination with the full moon energy, the full moon eclipse that we just had, which, the energy from the moon is not necessarily a positive energy. And the way that it manipulates, especially the feminine, is a distortion. The way it manipulates our waters here is also a distortion. And so that, and what I noticed from working in a hospital for 8 years was that things would really ramp up around the full moon. Accidents, intentional acts of misgiving would occur around this moon. People would kind of just seem to lose their minds. So all of this is kind of happening at the same time. And I've just been observing like the people around me and how they're reacting to it. And a lot of people are experiencing really difficult times. These waves of energy are transforming consciousness because they are bringing up to the surface all that needs to be seen and cleared. And in the meantime, that can look not so good, right? Because as consciousness is shifting, like we need to go through those denser consciousnesses for them to be alchemized into light. So it's helping us to purge all that is kind of hidden within us. And also what I've noticed too is, I had like my upstairs neighbor, I was just talking to her yesterday, and she was saying that she hit a deer in her car and she had to pay like $2,000 to get her car fixed, and her sister got in an accident too. And, I had some issues in my own family with someone who needed to actually go into the hospital because he was in somewhat of a spiritual psychosis from the energies. They got so intense in working with false light beings, beings that are posing as light when they're really not. They're reptilians, and they will, chip away and get in. I've been noticing in videos too, of how people are communicating and talking about their actual guides. And it's really concerning to me, the information that's floating around out there, because there's no discernment. There's no checking these guides that we're channeling. And that can lead to really destructive messages that come through. And one of those messages is that, aliens are going to come down in their ships and take us to other planets, take us to the new Earth. And I just don't find that to be rooted in reality at all. And so there's a group of people that are, they're not transforming themselves. They're not transforming their lives, their physical lives, because they're just waiting around for the aliens to come and save them, and then to just go to the new Earth. But that's just not how this works. Like, we have to do the work to transform our lives, to upgrade our consciousness, to release all that no longer serves us. There's no easy way. Like, Ascension isn't just an easy thing. Like, we just don't get to leave here and go somewhere to 5D. That's just not how it works. Ascension is a process, a hard process, a long process, and something that we have to navigate through. We don't get to skip the steps. Like, we don't get to skip the steps. Like, that's the bottom line. Like, we have to move through it. And as I'm observing this, I'm just like, wow, like, people that are just waking up can easily get sucked into these ideas. And, it's not my job to save them, of course, but I feel really bad for people that are, not paying their bills because Nisara is coming, or they want to donate to these, people that are bringing through these messages, so they're not paying their bills, or they're not getting medical care because they're waiting for the med beds. Like, these are the kinds of things, and we have to be careful to take all information, even information that comes through me, take all information with a grain of salt, and really try not to give too much credit to it. Like, we have to go within. When we are consuming information, we have to always be anchored and centered within ourselves first, to know how that, if that information is really true or not. And if our own navigation system is off, because of the programming and conditioning, it's very easy to get sucked into all these outside sources of information. This is why it's so important to be focused on the self, to be healing the self, to be clearing away all of the layers of programming and conditioning that have been forced upon us. So it's like we're unlearning. We need to unlearn all of these things that we've been taught. And as we do that and let these layers fall away and start to navigate our life from the embodied soul, the embodied higher self, then our discernment starts to increase and we start to see through things very easily. Since my last session, I've been seeing the false light narrative so clearly. Like, it's never been more clear to me before how these tricky energies are working through others to mold, almost like direct and mold our consciousness, the consciousness of the collective, especially those who are who consider themselves awake and aware. Even this group of people are getting sidetracked by false light. And it's really difficult to watch. It's really difficult to watch because we become not firmly grounded and rooted in reality. And that can be a dangerous path. Like we talked about in our other video, it's like another trap was laid for people that are coming out of, that are kind of just waking up and, wanting to believe all of these amazing things, like we're going to be in 5D next week. It doesn't work like that. It just doesn't work like that. It's an individual journey, and we're all on this journey, and it's our job to upgrade our own consciousness, because it's not going to happen on a mass scale. It's an individual journey. Ascension is an individual journey. So we each have to work on unlearning all that we've learned and finding the truth within us in order to level up in our consciousness. And we do this by releasing all the density from our bodies, releasing all of the stored emotions and suppressed feelings that we've had all of our lives, that we've been told aren't we're not allowed to feel. We're not allowed to feel that. And even now, there's this really big belief that if you think about anything negative, like I was just talking to a friend of ours, and you really triggered this for me, in that this really is a deeply held belief for people, that if you think about anything negative, then you're going to manifest that. And that's just not true. Like, we need to validate our feelings. So if you are feeling fearful about something, we need to talk about that in order to process through it and not just stuff it down. Because when you stuff it back down, then you are holding that vibration in your body. It is a lower vibration. And so other energies are going to be attracted to that, right? That's when it becomes a problem. It's not a problem to actually express it and work through it and get to the other side of it and say, okay, I'm feeling fear. Where is this coming from? Is this coming from an old childhood wound? Is this a real fear? Is this something to actually be concerned about? Because we have the emotion of fear for a reason, right? Sometimes it can be magnified by an old childhood wound, but sometimes it can also be showing us something that might actually be dangerous. That is why we have the emotion of fear, to alarm us to something isn't right here. What is actually happening, And so we kind of have to sit with that emotion and figure out where it's coming from and what it's telling us. All emotions are messengers. And we always have to ask ourselves, so what is this showing me? I think that's really important to talk about, because, like a lot of people will just stuff things back down, and then that does get stuck in our bodies instead of working through that. Like, we need to get to a place where we're working through everything that we're feeling and being real about it, like we were talking about, like spirituality is about being real, about being authentic, about being honest with ourselves, with each other. And yeah, so working through these energies. Another thing I've noticed is that the light that's coming in is also aggravating the dark force entities. It's aggravating the dark force entities, just like it's kind of aggravating humans, unaware humans. It's also aggravating these entities because they're also not used to this amount of light. So they're getting aggravated, and they could be working through other people in order to get to you. If they can't get to you, if you are like solid and protected, they will definitely work through other people in order to get to you, to cause an emotional trigger so that it will make it easier for them to get into your field, which is what happened to me. They worked through someone that I loved in order to cause an emotional trigger within me, and then they would, come in and slip into my field. So we have to be aware of how these energies work. There's a lot going on at the moment, a lot. And it's a good thing that these energies are being shaken up to come to the surface so that we can deal with them as they come. But it's also something to be very aware of and discerning of, you know, the information you're receiving from people as well, what's actually happening. If you have a lot of strange things happening in your life right now, this could be why, because it really does feel like a shakeup. And also like a level up, you know, and as we move through this energy, it doesn't always feel good, but then at the end of that, there's an expansion and there's a level up in our awareness, a level up in our discernment, and we'll be wiser for it. So that's kind of how the matrix works here, unfortunately. But yeah, that's how we learn and grow and evolve. Let me see what else wants to come through. So yeah, protection is important, especially during sleep, because that's the other thing is if they can't get to you in your conscious waking state because you are solid, you have your protection up. We seem to be more vulnerable in our sleep these days. They're using more tactics during dream time to get to us, like we talked about in our last video. So definitely doing the nighttime clearing and protection is really important right now. And I will keep adding to it as we upgrade that protection and find new techniques to use for that. But definitely clearing, grounding, protecting every day, especially before bedtime, shutting down, and using those affirmations of "I do not consent." Those have been helpful. What else? Yeah, I think that's it. So I just wanted to bring awareness to like these strange energies right now and how they may be affecting people and working through you or through others to get to you. And yeah, just being aware of that. And also, you know, it's not just the light, not just the sun, not just the energies from the moon, but there's a lot of new technology that's being introduced, you know, through the shots. There's new technology being injected into people through these shots. There's new frequencies on the planet through 5G, and you know, who knows what's coming down from the satellites. There's a lot of technology that the government has that we don't know about. So, you know, all of these things kind of happening at the same time make for weird circumstances. If you guys have been noticing anything like that, please let me know in the comments, because I've been noticing a lot of it. And I've been noticing a lot of the energy in people seems to be really strange as well. And I noticed in the Quantum Healers Forum, like people actually talking about, they've been noticing that too, that the energy, even the auras of people are looking strange, more gray, like no more white light, like their auras used to. I can't see auras, but I can feel in people that things are different. Some messages that came through was that some of the darker souls have actually already been taken out and into the singularity. So like back to source, dissolved, never to exist again. And the energies that are then left to work through people is kind of just like a residual energy. And that can actually cause an increase in their kind of like their craziness, like they're acting out, their darkness, because it's just kind of a shell. And that kind of also leaves an opening, like when the soul is gone and taken back to source, that leaves an opening, like an organic portal for anything to jump in. And that really is the objective of what's happening right now with these shots. They want to create organic portals for entities to jump in. So that what happens is the soul leaves the body. Maybe say it does go back to source, or say it just kind of hangs out here above the body, but that leaves the body completely open for an entity to jump in it and take control over it and start to work through people. So that is part of what I'm noticing now too, is that if people seem strange to you, that's probably why. Yeah, there's a lot going on. So I would love to hear from you guys about what you're noticing. If you've noticed anything strange in your reality that's happening. Everyone I've talked to has been noticing these strange things. Is it necessarily a good thing that the souls are being, like, the darker souls are being taken back to source and leaving the body like open for something else to take over? I don't know if that's a good thing or not. I don't know what the God's plan is, but that's what I feel like is happening right now. So yeah, so we have to be as grounded as possible, as protected as possible, as sovereign as possible. So waking up every day and asking yourself, am I sovereign? And listening for the answer. And then if you're not, like, clearing away those entities. And I always leave my articles, How to Clear, Ground, and Protect Yourself, and the nighttime routine as well. I'll link them down below. But yeah, it's really important to stay clear, grounded, and protected right now, and address any wounds that might be coming up for you, and realizing that it's the shift in consciousness. Like, we have to shift these old consciousnesses within us in order to ascend, if you will, or shift. And really, the ascension to me is more about, like, grounding these higher frequencies down into the body, and holding them within the body, not escaping up and out of it into another realm, but really grounding these energies down into our 3D physical reality. That's how we will help to shift the collective, not by escaping from it. When we are solid and really feeling sovereign and grounded and free, that's how we make change. Not by bypassing, not by escaping, not by waiting for a savior. Like, we have to do the work, and we have to stay grounded and centered. And this is the only way we're going to be able to even help the others and offer them a hand as things get kind of crazier and crazier. We have to be solid within ourselves in order to actually be able to help it all. So that's my message for today. Please leave me your comments, like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. I love you guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye.